Hari Om Tat Sat. Welcome to Jyotirmayananda Society, a journey to self-realization. Please subscribe our channel for the mystical meanings of the scriptures and to enjoy daily satsang with us. We are currently exploring the book The Mystery of the Soul, Katha Upanishad, commentary by Swami Jyotirmayananda ji, narrated by myself, Swami Nikhilananda. Today we are starting from chapter 1, mantra number 27. Human beings cannot be satisfied by wealth. What need have we for wealth when we have seen thee, O God of death? For we live here only as long as your rule sanctions. Therefore, that boon alone is chosen by me. He continues to be firm, Nachiketa, on his boon for self knowledge. Further, the wealth of the whole world cannot satisfy the desires of man. Just as an ocean is ever unsatisfied by water, so the desires of man are ever insatiable. The flames of desire wax more and more as the objects are poured as an oblation into them. One's apprehensions of losing the objects creates fear and immense pain. By amassing vast wealth, one's cravings grow to immense proportions. One has to work hard to protect wealth. He is in constant fear of losing it also. Further, it is not wise to ask for such petty things. Having beheld thee, O Yama, I have seen Lord Yama. He is swarthy and wears a pitambara, a yellow garment. His eyes are blood red and clear. His neck is long and his chest broad. His hands reach to the knees. His body shines as the sun. His vehicle is a mighty buffalo. He keeps a danda or a stick in his hand to strike fear in the hearts of sinners. He is our king at heart. He protects the path of good and evil. He is endowed with Atmagyan, the knowledge of the self, and he is neither friend nor foe. I have seen thee, O Yama. Thou art my Guru. Long life has been granted to me by thy very presence. Further, as long as thou hast thy sway, even the longest life is subject to termination and its consequent misery. Therefore, it is not proper that I should ask the boon of long life from thee. Mantra 28. Who is there who could delight in a long life, reveling in sense enjoyments, once he has understood that man is subject to decay and death? Having approached thee who art immortal, how could I ask for a boon of long life, which is a trifle? I must ask of thee something which is glorious and sublime, is Nachiketa's answer. Again, a profound, deep, reflective answer. And the last mantra of chapter 1, mantra number 29. O death, there is this doubt regarding the knowledge of the self. Does the self exist or not after death? Tell us the conclusive truth. Nachiketa does not ask another boon, but persists in having the boon which is so profound. And because of his boon, we are all benefiting from it. All the pleasures of the world are painful for the wise. Sarvam dukkham vivekinaha, which means everywhere there is misery for the introspective and the wise. Why? Because it's all transient. Sooner or later it evaporates, gives us pain. Therefore, I want to know the truth about the great self hereafter. I want to know the truth concerning the soul, the truth that transcends this mortal existence. This is my third boon. So imagine how much push and pull was needed for Nachiketa, how many times he was tested, and only once the Yama realized, the Lord of Death, that the boy is qualified and firm, did he take on this learning, teaching of the third boon. So, I want to receive that same boon which is difficult even for gods. Thus, Nachiketa did not waver from the path. He asked about the Atman alone. The knowledge of the Atman is hidden in the cave of the heart. He exhibited supreme dispassion and perfect discrimination. He found all worldly enjoyments of little value. He found the highest value of human existence in the realization of the self. Thus ends the first chapter of the Katha Upanishad. Moving on to chapter 1, section number 2 or Valli number 2, and we are starting with mantra number 1. One is good while the other is pleasant. Both give rise to different fruits and draw men to themselves. Out of these two, Shreya, the path of blessedness, leads one to what is good, but one who has chosen what is pleasant, or Preya, loses the true goal of life. The real philosophy of this Upanishad begins with this section. Yama was delighted to see the blazing Vairagya of Nachiketa. He knew that Nachiketa was a perfect adhikari. Adhikari is a qualified aspirant for receiving Vedantic knowledge. In order to bestow his third boon upon him, he taught him the science of the self. Yama spoke thus: O Nachiketa, there are two types of fruits attainable in this world and in the world thereafter. One is Shreya, the good, and the other is Preya, the pleasant. Shreya leads to liberation. This is the highest goal of human life. Therefore, the Upanishads describe the path of the good for those who have discrimination and dispassion. The path of pleasure is for the ignorant. The pleasures of the world are short lived and illusory. So, Shreya and Preya are distinct from each other because of these four factors. And the four factors are: number one, Swarupa or nature, two is Sadhana or the means, three is Pramana or the authority, and fourth is Adhikari, the qualifications required for the student. In the case of Shreya, the nature of Shreya is eternal, blissful Atman. Number two, the means of Shreya is meditation on the identity of Jiva, which is the individual soul, and Brahman, the absolute, through the understanding of the Mahavakya, which is the great utterance, Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. Number three, the authority on which Shreya is founded is the Upanishad or the Vedantic scripture. And fourth is the Adhikari or the qualified student of Shreya must be endowed with Sadhana Chatushtaya, the fourfold means of liberation, which we had briefly covered already. We will mention them. Viveka is discrimination, Vairagya dispassion, Shat Sampat, the six qualities of serenity, self control, renunciation, endurance, faith, and tranquility. And the fourth qualification, mumukshutva, is burning aspiration for self realization. And in the case of Preya, Preya is the attractions of the world. The passing pleasures of the sense objects constitute the nature of Preya because they are pleasant. Two, the performance of actions that are selfish constitute the means of Preya. Third, the karma portion of the Vedas is the authority on the path of the Preya. And fourth, a man with desire is the qualified person for the path of pleasure. So, two roads, one taking you to pleasurable senses but giving you rebirth and pain in the end, and the other one is the one that is more measured, disciplined, um, staying away from sense pleasures but then going towards liberation. Thus, these two paths are differently and mutually exclusive. Those who follow the path of Shreya do not fall away from the true end of life. So, it is a decision point if one is wanting to take the path of enlightenment or one who simply wants to evolve slowly over time and wants to keep coming back, but also wants the pleasures of the world. With this, we conclude our satsang for today, and we will start from mantra number 2 in tomorrow's satsang. As you can see, this is a deeply profound scripture, very incisive, very introspective, and let us hear it with purity of our hearts and meditate on Nachiketa, this beautiful 5-year-old boy who is an advanced yogi of yogis. We humbly prostrate to Nachiketa for his. If it was not for his questions, we would not have received this profound knowledge. This is Swami Nikhilananda. We will start from mantra 2 in tomorrow's satsang. Hari Om Tat Sat.